Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the weekly fans forum for Aston Villa. I'm by myself just for the moment. Kevin is just having a bit of technical difficulty, so until he gets on, I'm by myself. And Rich might even make himself an appearance as he's on his honeymoon over in Boston. But plenty to discuss for this week. A lot going on, a lot has happened, but it's all plenty of good news. There's no bad news whatsoever that's happened with the Villa. So I hope all is well. But first thing I would like to discuss, let's go through some of the comments. So Duncan says, evening all. Rachel says, hi Martin, thanks Rachel, how are you? I'm a bit of a lone ranger today. And she also says, evening to everybody else. So those are some of the comments. Oh, here we go. Hang on. Damsky has said evening. He's on time for once. And Brock says, I want him to put new training gear up for sale. It's so much better than last year's and better than this year's kit. Absolutely. You are dead right, my friend. And this mouse is having a great crack. Just bear with me, folks. Just having a bit of difficulty now myself. But yeah, just in regards to that training kit, it's unbelievable, isn't it? Like, it's just fantastic. It looks really good. And some of the players, it looks really sharp as well. And, we're looking forward to it. So the mouse is having good fun here. I just need to get this going up and running because the battery's fairly low. So I probably should have charged it up. There we go. We can get rid of that. Now, here we go with some of the brand. Now, so, here we go. Kevin's here. Kevin, hang on, Kevin. I'll get you on in just a second, buddy, because this mouse is having a great crack with my batteries at the moment. So, all up and down. Just give me a second to get this battery going. But yeah, everything's looking good for us. I'm going to get Kevin on here, so give me a moment. Here he is. He's added himself in. He can host.
I'm here. Hello.
How are you, Kevin?
Yeah. A few technical issues, Mark, but I'm here. Hopefully, Villa getting some of these big transfers over the line don't suffer the same kind of technical issues. I hope.
Yeah. Now, I just have a bit of technical issues here now myself. The battery is really low all of a sudden on the mouse, so I have some of the pictures there that I'll get you to pop up while I charge this battery just for a little bit.
Yeah, no worries, mate. No worries.
But look, plenty to discuss, Kevin. First of all, how was your holiday?
It was not too bad, yeah. Just in the sunny British Isles, down in Devon, and classic July weather. So it was sunny, then it was windy, then it was rainy, then it was sunny, then it was windy, it was rainy on repeat. So yeah, so much for this so-called crazy hot summers. But it was nice to get away. I missed all things Villa, but there wasn't too much going on. A couple of bits of transfer news as always. But I feel like with the pre-season starting the weekend, things are starting to hot up now, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair, the UK seems to be getting a lot better weather than here, because I swear to God, it's literally just rain in the middle of July.
This weekend's been terrible, mate. Honestly, the amount of rain this weekend has been unbelievable. So
apparently, we're meant for due for a bit of a heat wave in 2 weeks. So hopefully, we get some good weather back.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, but look, Kevin. First thing I want to discuss is the Walsall pre-season friendly. Did you manage to catch any of it?
I didn't manage to catch any of it at all. I've seen the goal, Watkins' goal. Not that it was much to look at as a penalty, but yeah, that's basically about it. Basically.
Oh, well, that's it. Well, first thing I just want to get, there's a picture there of Omari Kellerman, if you can get it up for me there, Kev.
Mr. Kellerman, yeah. He's the young lad apparently did pretty well, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Here he is. So did you watch it? What did you think?
Yeah, I watched a good bit of the game, so I did. He was really good, I have to say. I think he's only 16, 17, 18 even, and I have to say he was very good. I was really impressed by him. And then obviously you've had Tommy O'Reilly, who got himself a good game. There's a picture of him there as well.
Yeah, Tommy O'Reilly is a real classy footballer, isn't he, Mr. O'Reilly?
Yeah. Exactly. He got himself some minutes. Philip Marshall got himself minutes.
The goalie, yeah.
And obviously, Diaby Sinizalo got himself minutes. And then Aaron Ramsey as well was another one. He's just directly underneath him. I don't think I have the name saved, does it?
Gave him a code note. There we go.
There he is. And you know what? I really like that picture because he looks like he's kind of just posing for the camera as well as getting tackled by the lads.
Yeah. The thing is, for some of these young lads, like the loans they'll be going on, and some of the ones that are playing, obviously we're on championship loans, and obviously the likes of, Bogard has been on loans as well, is they'll be lower league loans, or they'll potentially be going out on lower league loans. So this is the kind of level that they should be able to perform at quite adequately, really. So
that's it.
Yeah, it's a good test.
That's it. And Aaron Ramsey's obviously been playing in the championship, so he knows exactly what level he should be playing at now, considering that he's performed it. But one person, though, that was at the game, and I was delighted to see him at the game, was Monchi. There's just a picture of him there as well, all smiles.
Mr. Monchi, there he is.
Monchi, here he is, and all smiles, enjoying the Birmingham weather, as I can see, having a jacket.
He put some sun cream on his head.
Oh, looks like it. And underneath him is Unai Emery, and this is a beautiful picture. Look at that.
Nice top, nice top.
Just what a manager's jersey as well. This training gear and these managers' gear are looking unbelievable. They're going to get sold out. But one player who managed to get himself a goal was Ollie Watkins, with striking his penalty away, and he looked like he had a bit of confidence. Finally, going up to a penalty. Now I know it's pre-season, and we probably shouldn't get ourselves worked up because it's for minutes, etc., etc. But just to get himself a goal, just to get him going, Kev, I think it's just important for his confidence. What do you think?
Always good for a striker, isn't it? Doesn't matter what the situation is. Get yourself a goal. Listen, when I play my poor standard of five-a-side football, whatever, on a midweek night, it's the minute you put your first shot away, you're feeling a bit better about your second shot. It's all about confidence. Football, sport's all about confidence. So Watkins went on a real purple patch last season, and I think, look, there's rumours of bringing another striker in to compete with / play with Watkins, but I can't see anything other than Watkins being our main number 9 next season. So confidence, he's massive for strikers, and I just hope he keeps in this form rest of pre-season.
That's it. And finally, just one player who managed to get himself some minutes, which I thought was very good, was Diego Carlos. Now, as we know, a lot of people were probably sympathising with him because of the injury with his Achilles. But, I just think it's good that he's now finally back in pre-season, getting himself fit again, and it's great to see him get some minutes. What do you think, Evan?
Yeah, look, I don't think we know what's going to happen with Diego at all, because obviously you're not spending that amount of money on Pau Torres for him to probably not start most games. Mings was arguably our best player last season, arguably up there in terms of his form. And Cons has been someone that's never let us down. So, and him and Mings as a partnership were as good as anyone, certainly like a half of the season. So what does that mean for Carlos? But if he has recovered from that injury to the point where there's no discernible difference to what he was, the player he was before, then we got 4 really fantastic centre-half options to go out 4 competitions, and that's what big clubs do. Whether we go for 3 at the back, there's a bit of a split opinion on that, both on terms of Villa analysts and even the Villa fan base. Whether we go for 2 left-footed centre-halves playing together, again, difference of opinion. I don't see any reason why if you could have 2 right-footed centre-halves, you couldn't have 2 left-footed centre-halves. I think based on what we know, you'd think that, I think, and this was obviously discussed on the midweek pod we did, you'd have the big, more of an engaging centre-half, more of an attacking centre-half, more of a physical centre-half in Mings, with that cultured, play out from the back centre-half in Torres. So, but what Unai's got up his sleeve, I've got no idea, mate. We know what Unai's like. As far as we know, it'll be Philip Marshall and Sinasilo starting centre-halves, and he'll have some system where they'll be playing it around the back. So who knows what's going on? Who knows?
That's it. We'll go through some of the comments here. So Steve has said, hello, people. Michael just tagging Duncan, Rachel Adamski. Neil Nightingale says, I'm looking forward to the end of the transfer window, so we'll know exactly who will be playing for us until January.
Aren't we all know?
Don't agree that anymore. Renewed says you got a pencil sharpened under the table or what? I was trying to rub this mouth just to get it going a bit so I can get Kevin in, but clearly he's got himself in, so which is good. Duncan says Diaby in by Tuesday. Would be nice. Would be nice, but I think we need to be patient. Dale has says, hello all, another great pod, I'm sure. Thank you, Dale. Steve, rubbing 2 sticks together, Jays. I'm getting some stick for having this battery on the.
Martin, you don't want to be rubbing your hands underneath the table on a live podcast, mate. Just want to let you know.
No.
Some of the minds of some of our wonderful listeners are, I'm sure, not as clean as yours.
No, they go beyond where I am. So, Rachel says, I love seeing Monchi in for training and at Walsall, which, he's clearly in and around the club. He wants to see where he can improve, which is always good.
Well, you know, Monchi said in his before he came to the club, one of the main factors for him was he was desperate to go to the Poundland Bescott Stadium. He said it was one of his main motivations. So he's ticked something off his bucket list there. He got to see the M6 and the RAC Centre. Wonderful.
And he'll want to see the Bulls. So, you know, everything's looking up for him. AVFC, what's he saying? Evening. And Michael Huggins just wanted to say the preseason is to gain fitness, work on a few tactics. While it's always nice to win, we should not lose our minds if they don't. Exactly. I'm in the same predicament there. You know, it's not nice to lose, but at the same time, it's more or less for fitness, for young lads to try and prove themselves, get into the first team as well. So I've been in agreement there with Mick. What do you think, Kevin, on that point?
Yeah, listen, let's not forget that last pre-season under he shall not be named Voldemort, Gerard. We had a really good pre-season. We beat Brisbane Roar. We beat Leeds. We beat, was it Stade Rennais? We were 2-0 down at half-time to Man United and came out to get a great 2-2 draw. We were unbeaten in pre-season with some really good results, but the football wasn't convincing at all. And it didn't surprise me we went into Bournemouth. Oh, no, it surprised me in the manner of the Bournemouth defeat in the first day. But the performances, I don't think I'd seen. But if you looked at it on, pre-season was successful in terms of results. Don't mean anything. Michael's absolutely right. It should really be all about fitness, all about... most of the players that would be the key players aren't even there anyway. Some of them still on international duty. So you're seeing that team will never, ever play a game for Aston Villa together ever again. You've got people like Sanson getting minutes and some players that will probably never play for the first team in a proper game that will end up going on lower league careers. So it's an opportunity, and it's nice. I always think pre-season, memories of going to the Walsall pre-season game and seeing Wesley for the first time, and all these big money signings and people like that. But it's just an exercise. It's getting minutes in the legs. It's an opportunity for the club to showcase some of those younger talents. I imagine a lot of the loans are probably already sort of signed and sealed so far. But it's not put them in the window, isn't it?
Absolutely. And one thing I just want to mention as well is just a happy birthday to Courtney Hause. There he is clapping to the Aston Villa fans when he scored his winner against Man United. And what a header it was, by the way.
That was.
And I remember this was the night of my a good friend of mine's 30th. And I walked in and there was loads of Man United fans sitting at the table. And I was wearing like a Luke Proper shirt with the small little Villa crest on it. I was giving it the Billy Big one. I mean, a few beers in you and you know where it goes. And I remember, and I had a football game that day as well, actually. And one of the lads had it on the stream and he showed me and I was laughing. It was just such a great header. But happy birthday to you, Courtney, and I hope you had really good celebrations. But, actually, we should have a little bit of discussion on Courtney Hause. Kevin, do you think he will... Is he gone now on a permanent, or is he still with us?
I think he's still with us. I'm pretty sure he's still with us. I think he's... I'm not sure when his contract ends, but he's definitely still part of the club. I think he got an injury, didn't he?
Yeah.
So, probably why he's not involved. His time at Villa's done. If he was at the club now, I think he'd probably be, probably sixth choice centre back. So him and Chambers, I think their time is. Chambers may well stick around, but I'd be very surprised if Carlos stays. If no crazy offers come in from Mings, things we wouldn't even see happening. If it is the 4 centre halves we think that we've got, then Hause wouldn't even get looking. He did great servant for us. He did some really really good stints in defence. Not the best in terms of playing the ball out, but was a solid, robust centre-half when we needed him. Probably not quite good enough for what we were trying to do in the Premier League, but he'll always be remembered for that absolutely majestic... I've never seen a glancing header have such power in it. The neck muscles...
And it was right in the corner as well. And De Gea, he even tried to go for it and he just wasn't getting near it.
And you remember that game as well? We had the better of that game, and we clearly never beat Man United. We never used to. And we probably were all thinking in the 88th minute, oh, the chance has gone. Like McGinn had a chance or Target. I can't remember what it was, but there was chances in the game early on. And then to snatch it in basically Fergie time, oh, it was magical. And then
they go get a penalty, and we're thinking this is typical Man United, like, isn't it? But then he plays it over the bar, and Martinez giving it the dance as well, you know?
Doing what he's not going to be allowed to do anymore because they've outlawed it, haven't they? Goalies can't have any fun anymore. So, yeah. Anyway, you were midway through comments, Martin. We're gassing about Courtney Hause. Come on.
I know. I have some of them started because we will be getting onto some of your topics. But so we'll go through some of the comments now. Where is one that I've seen? Yeah. Gary says, hi, guys. Hope your mouse gets better soon, Martin. I'm seeing a lot of the Doku one, which I will, don't worry, get onto them. This is just going to be the topic for later on, which I have them started. A lot of it's actually Doku, but Adamski's here saying something for you, Kevin. The Aussie tour was awful, Kev. Even with the wins, I was thinking we were relegation bound, no cohesion. I thought the Aussie tour was okay, and I thought we actually genuinely played all right. I didn't think it was that bad.
I think there were moments of decent play, but I remember being so unconvinced. I was getting the games on streams and doing what I could do, to try and view it, because it was that whole view in my mind that of Stevie saying, just give me a summer, let me get my own players in. Look what Unai did with just Moreno, shows what a fantastic coach can do.
Yeah, it just goes to show the difference in quality and outlook. Gerrard in Saudi Arabia telling lads about communication.
Yeah. Well, I probably haven't seen that clip of him saying, tell me then, going around. But look, listen, we are where we are. If it wasn't for Steven Gerrard's spell, we wouldn't have Unai Emery. So we have to look at the reverse positive of that situation. But my point is, he came in, Gerrard, he had a bit of a positive bounce. Obviously, we had good results against Palace and Brighton. Then it dropped. Then we had some poor results. And we had, even the performance against Man City at the end of the season was, we got turnover 3-2 scored 3 goals in about a minute, but it felt was a bit of positivity. Good goal from Cash. Obviously, Coutinho played well, and we thought, get the summer, get the players in. Kamara, Carlos. We were thinking at that point, that pre-season tour, we were probably still going to buy some more players. We thought we were going to get another striker, another winger, whatever. So I think we were probably optimistic, despite the performances, thinking it's maybe a few teething problems. And then we just went into that spell of, well, listen, let's not talk about it too much because we are way, it's like talking about an ex-girlfriend, way beyond that now. But yeah, I am very confident that we'll see some pretty cohesive football. By all accounts from those, I don't know if the guys want to say in the comments, but that some of the youngsters that did play were pretty lively and pretty good on the ball. Well, you imagine you start adding a Diaby to that, a McGinn to that, a Pau Torres to that, a Kamara to that. It's going to be a different level, isn't it? Yeah.
And just that you mentioned then just a few musicians and all with getting signed up. I had this one started by Sharik J. If that's how you pronounce your name, and if I had said it wrong, apologies. I can't see us buying 2 wingers, a striker, a cam, right back, and a backup keeper at this point. Maximum 3 more signings. Is that enough, considering we need numbers and quality, not either or? Well, I'd rather build a squad, because I think that's what Unai Emery is playing for. He wants to build a squad that's going to compete in the Premier League, Conference League, FA Cups, League Cups. There's pretty much competitions that we're in. Just for match fitness and resting players in different games, which I think is vital, because I think for a lot of years is that Villa have always had maybe a good starting 11 with 1 or 2 on the bench that could easily make the starting 11 as well. But now we want to build a squad, and I think building a squad is really important. Like, there's some players that are probably going to be on the bench that would be annoyed, but at the same time, you want healthy competitions to keep players on their feet, Kevin.
Yeah. You absolutely do. But look, the wish list that the fans have got, I don't think is too far away from what the comment you just popped up there. We don't know what's going to happen with Unai, and if he might have grand plans to be playing a Konza as a right back. He might have grand plans he might have something happening. Kessler Hayden's gone out on loan, so you'd think he would be probably the next in line. Chambers can fill in there, but it's not ideal. There's rumours of Tyler Adams who again can fit in there, but I can't see Villa with what we're trying to do not bringing in having another established right back at the club. They were obviously linked to Meunier from Dortmund on a cheap deal. I'd be amazed if we didn't get a right back, but it hasn't seemed to be. We haven't seen any real massive links to right back.
No,
a striker. Again, if you're getting in, as we've been rumoured to be getting in, obviously Diaby, does he then play a sort of a support striker role? But I'll be surprised if we didn't get another striker. I'll be surprised if we didn't get another midfielder and see what happens with Dendoncker.
That's it. Brush here, how are you, Brush? He's a Man United fan. He said to Rachel, I always like to say constructive criticism, not slander, but unfortunately the massive tend towards slander, especially on the socials. He had one. Here we are. With the calibre of signings, links, you guys must be chuffed going into the new season. Emery's targeting Europa League football, if you ask me. That's, I'd agree because, we want to take everything in baby steps, but that'll obviously ties us in now nicely to the transfer window. And obviously, there was one announcement during the week, Kevin, as you know, and that is the signing of Pau Torres. Look at that picture there. That's just beautiful. That is just absolutely beautiful.
Man.
Finally able to get him in the door through the window and hopefully be a good addition to the squad. Now, the question is over the head, what does this mean for Tyrone Mings? What does this mean for some other centre-backs? Does he go left-back? Does he play left centre-back? I just say, don't worry about it. Whatever Unai Emery has in the plan, we have to back it, because to have 4 top centre-backs in the club is what you need. Wouldn't you be in agreement, Kevin, or would you say maybe Mings will start ahead of him?
No, I don't. I wouldn't be surprised. It depends. Look, I can't see why he wouldn't be fit. He's played a season last season. He's got married and had his honeymoon, but I imagine he'll be as match fit as anybody. So
yeah, did you like how the admin had it literally when he was like this and ringing first, just to say he was on his honeymoon?
Very good. Very good. Yeah, I'll be surprised if he didn't start. He's a record signing currently until we break the record again this week. So, but I don't know. I think it would be harsh if he plays 2 at the back. Then it's very harsh on Konza and Mings, because they as good as anybody the second half of the season in the entire league. So, but then do either of those have the progressive nature that Torres has, which Emery loves? Emery loves Torres. He loves him. He loves him. So I think that is, I can't see, it'd be like, the dad managing the football team, basically, he's playing his son centre half. So, but for me, it's all about what comes next. I mean, the Torres situation dragged out a little bit, but hey, Villa fans, that's that. Look at football. Look how long a Declan Rice took. Look, there was rumours that Harvey Barnes was signing for Newcastle 3 weeks ago, and then he was signing for West Ham. Yeah, it's just the way it is. Their players have just come back from holiday. Some of them still aren't even back. And there's always moving parts. It's the player that you want to buy. The selling club needs to get a replacement, and then the club that they're buying from needs to get a replacement. So it's not that simple, but there's clearly some very strong links. So Diaby, let's talk about him.
Yeah. Well, just before I go on to the next link of other incomings, there's currently 84 people watching, which is incredible for a Sunday evening. And thank you for giving your time to watch us. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. We're on the road to 2,000 subscribers. We're currently sitting on, I think, 1982. I wonder what happened that year. I wonder what happened. But if you want to be a part of the Villa Park Pod family, please subscribe, support the channel. And if you want to become a member, the button's there right in the top for you to join. It's only £2 a month, which would support the channel for in everything you can, and you'd have only members prizes as well. So please, if you want to be a part of the Villa Park Pod family, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell for all the latest news about Villa. Okay, so gonna come up now to one link that has happened, which apparently I seen this one that we have made an offer to Chelsea about Lukaku.
Yeah, I have seen that link as well.
I don't know about this one,
Yeah, there's some big name links out there. Obviously, he's one of them.
Well, he's talking to Juventus, so I think is our name being thrown in there to try and push Juventus to get this deal over the line?
Who knows? I feel the same about Joe Felix. Like he's a Champions League player, but then you'd say Pau Torres is. You'd say Kamara is.
Torres is a Champions League player, and look.
Yeah, well, Kamara, you'd argue was a Champions League player. You'd certainly argue on form last season that Mings could be playing for one of the top 4. You'd argue that Martin is a Champions League player. That Douglas Luiz. Watkins could easily be someone that one of the top four would sign. He's been so. Are we in that position now? We can attract him, but I'd be very surprised if we got a Felix. I'd love Felix. I think he's a real baller. I know he wasn't brilliant at Chelsea, but I think he's such a classy, quality footballer.
Yeah, go on. Sorry, go on, finish.
Yeah, but have we got the pull? But the fact we've been linked with these players is one thing. Now we've started to get some of them over the line. It did start with Coutinho, didn't it? And then obviously Kamara and Carlos were big names. You know, a young French international and Kamara, a Europa League winning centre half in Carlos, but playing for a team like Sevilla, and obviously Torres has been one of the most touted names around Europe. Bayern Munich were linked, so he was linked to Premier League teams before, big Premier League teams. So maybe that's where we're at now, and it's great to have Aston Villa in the equation, in the conversation. But I'll be very surprised if we got Lukaku. I mean, he's Lukaku at the stage now where he's playing week in, week out. I just think Lukaku, if he's not absolutely at it, then he can be a bit of a waste. It could just be a bit of a lumbering centre forward. When he's on it, he's unbelievable. I mean, it was last season, wasn't it, before we left? Was it last season before when Chelsea beat us 3-1 at home? And they were in the yellow,
I think.
Yeah. And they were in the yellow kit, and he was great. I mean, they weren't great at the time, but he.
Some players seem to, in a lot of cases, a lot of players seem to perform really well against us, but then nothing against anybody else. So, but I'm going to go through some of the comments here about some of the Lukaku or even just general stuff. Adamski said, no way that link is real. He's off to Juve. I think that's probably the case as well. I think our name is just being thrown out there so that we're being used as, just to get the deal over the line. Braca says, Konza doesn't get beat. I think he's fantastic. Maybe not every week, but he's going to be important. I still think he's only 26 too. Could be wrong to hear though, but I think Konza still starts because I think he's massively underrated. Like he barely get, and just on that there with Brock, he does barely get beat. He very rarely gets beat, and I very rarely see him getting beat. I remember when I've gone to a few live games, anyone who tries to dribble past him, he's just having none of it.
Yeah, but you know what that is there, Mark? Because every time he goes to a live game, we always win. So it's written in the stars. So
and I am going to the Everton game on the 20th of August, folks. So if you want to guarantee yourselves a win, get your ticket.
lump some money on that result. Konza's only 25. I mean, for a centre half, he's with the pedigree he's got now playing in the Premier League for 3 or 4 seasons. He's great. But it's a luxury to have these players, which makes me think is Emery going to try and use. Look at last season. Ben White, arguably one of the most upcoming, brightest, best centre backs in the league, he was playing right back most of the season. Trent Alexander-Arnold playing in midfield for Liverpool towards the end of the season. And look how creative someone like Pep is in terms of people playing in different positions, having 4 centre halves playing the back roles. So I wouldn't be massively surprised. I know it's maybe not historically what Emery's done, but he's such a progressive manager. He's got such ideas. If you've got the quality and the reliability of a Konza, Mings, subject to fitness, obviously Carlos and Pau Torres, then is he going to be doing some kind of creative system to? Is one of them playing left back or right back, or is it 3 at the back? Who knows?
That is going to be a pivotal point because in every team you should always have your 2 centre backs should never really change, unless there's cup games that you bring in some of the younger players and the off-fringe players. But it'd be interesting to see who Emery goes with. So I'm going to go through some of the comments again. Duncan says 3-5-1-1 formation wouldn't surprise me next season. Emery has known to go with 3 at the back before. Richard says absolutely when we speak at matches and on video, etc. At Michael. Rob P says can't see him join. That's obviously about Lukaku. Dale says Lukaku on loan would be a great sign and small fee, but massive wages. And I agree that's where the wages comes into it for me. He's on nearly 200-300 grand a week at Chelsea. Gary Howler says I'm getting angry just thinking about Lukaku and Felix. Brock says Felix has a big head and a shit attitude. Yeah, true. Renew says Harry Maguire proves Orland Nyland can make it into a top 4 team. That's a bit of a weird shout, that one, but we'll go with it. Now, one player I want to turn my attention to is the fact that this man here, and Kevin, you raved about him, and I'm not the one who'd be too sure about it, but it's João Felix. Now, apparently he was offered to PSG. PSG has said, no, they don't want him. They've other targets they want to look at. A lot of the Champions League clubs are turning him down, which is, in my opinion, I do think it's surprising as much as I have a real iffy feeling about him because he didn't really do too well at Chelsea. So
no one did. No one did well at Chelsea last season. Towards the end of the season, I've listened to a bit of Frank Lampard's latest podcast.
I only seen a few things. I think he was talking about Mason Mount, which like that one, but that was the only one I saw. But I didn't see anything else. What did you see?
He's been on the Stephen Bartlett podcast. Great podcast, not as good, obviously, good as ours, but slightly more renowned worldwide.
Yeah.
I've listened to a little bit when I was out for a walk earlier, and just basically saying like the attitude of the players, and he just knew they weren't at it, and it's very difficult even if you're a fantastic player. I'm not, you look at that team. Enzo Fernandez is a right footballer, really good at going for that. Yeah, you've got loads of other great players in that team. And they just he said like they couldn't wait for the season to be over. That was the impression he got. So I'm not too bothered about that phase that he had. I mean, look at some of the performance of our players that we are raving about second half of the season. Look at their form in the first half of the season. We all wrote McGinn off, let alone Ming, the grief that Mings used to get, Douglas Luiz, etc., Watkins, etc., etc., etc. So that doesn't bother me. What bothers me is what's it going to cost? If it's going to be loan, I guess you save yourself a lot of money. And then, and it probably more likely will be loan. But then what wages are you paying? And does that mean you wouldn't get someone else? So I don't know. But if there's a chance to get him, I mean, look, just a comment here from Duncan. Felix would fit our system, and like the Chelsea 3-4-3, and I think that's absolutely right. If you can get Felix,
he's a really big fan of him. Apparently, it's not complicated for Villa to get the deal done. They don't see it as a near impossible, just complicated. So it's probably a case of convincing him to join. Just there, Emery would be a good fit for Felix, and I don't know about it. Like, this is the thing for me. Like, he just has a stinking attitude, and I remember he came out and said he won't go anywhere except for Champions League club. And I think maybe the Champions League club paid attention to that, going, you know what, if that's the attitude you have, I don't want nothing to do with that, just because we're in the Champions League.
But think as well, right? When we were linked with Felix, it was January. We were struggling for relegation in November. Yeah, fine, we had an upturn of form in Emery. Chelsea were nowhere near as low down in the league that they are now. Admittedly, they had not the best start to the season. Tuchel, Potter wasn't working out. But they were an established Champions League team that won the Champions League a couple of years before. And we were a team that were rumoured to be up for relegation about 6 to 8 weeks before that. Look at the difference in Aston Villa from January to July. So there'll be loads of players that maybe we're thinking, not sure about. I'm sure Diaby wouldn't have been interested in Villa back in.
It's come out that we'll come on to Diaby now, actually. That it's come out and said that he's agreed personal terms with us. He has said yes to Villa. But it's a case of now the two clubs need to come to an agreement with the fee. But now apparently the Saudi Arabian club, Al Hilal, I think it is, that they're willing to pay the fee, but he doesn't want to go to Saudi Arabia. He wants to come to Aston Villa, which I think that's a huge compliment to us, and it goes to show that. Now I know it's people are probably thinking, Villa should be getting more attention to Saudi Arabia, but still, Saudi Arabia could give him nearly 10 times the money we could offer. And for him to say, no, I want to go to Aston Villa, I want to test myself, and that's exactly what players should be doing at his age. Like Ruben Neves, for example, he's 26. He could easily be going to a Newcastle, to us, or a Liverpool, a Man United, and challenge himself in these Champions League places, challenge himself in Europa League. But instead, he's taken the handy route by going to Saudi Arabia, where he'll probably never be heard of again. And I'm kind of wondering, who's going to be watching this league? But
do you know what? The Saudi Arabia League, with some of the players they've got, the fact that we're talking about it, the fact that TalkSport were talking about it the other day, and Sky Sports are talking about it, and BBC Sport are talking about it. TalkSport, I listened to TalkSport the other day, and they made a really good point. Like, we're not. Which league would you say is a better league, the Eredivisie, the Dutch league, or the Saudi Arabian league? But no one's talking about the Eredivisie. Is it going to be massive? There's a chance it'll get big. Is it still a bit of a graveyard for players' careers? Fine, they might get the Liverpool captain, but he's not a starter anymore. And a lot of the players they're buying are in their 30s. There's a few that are still in their prime, and there's a few that have obviously gone for the money towards the end. But they're getting. It's not like it was America 10, 15 years ago. It's definitely getting a better class of players, clearly for the money. The league will be competitive, and I think it will definitely be improved. It won't ever be the Premier League or La Liga. But I think
Kevin Adamski has said they'll all regret it by Christmas when they can't have a few beers.
I'm not saying anything about that, right? So, but I think this the link for Diaby is clearly to just get Villa going. just to get Villa going. They'll probably put it out there.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of fans are kind of rushing at this one, like, oh, we should get over the line quickly, but just relax, because Emery's clearly shown this patient approach to getting players in, and that's something that I think I've really enjoyed. That if it's not working to a certain stage in negotiations, then leave it and go for the next one. And that leads me to now the next player, which is Count Doku of Star Wars. This looks like it's going to be great. We're going to the dark side. It's going to be fantastic. Rebel story. No, just kidding, folks. Just kidding. It's Jeremy Doku, an absolute baller. I'd say I'm a really big fan of this lad. I think I'd rather have him than Diaby.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, because that man is quick with his feet, with the ball. How fast he can run with that ball is incredible. In the Euro 2020, yeah, because it was played in 21. He was incredible for Belgium. Liverpool want him, Man United want him, Arsenal want him, Chelsea, all the big clubs want him. But he just never left Rennes because he wanted to progress. And no, in fairness, I would actually give him a bit of credit for that. Rather than jumping too early at the gun to go to these big clubs and it might not work out, he decided he wants to stay for a while, progress his career. And now look, if he comes to Villa, if the Diaby deal doesn't work out, I would 100% welcome. I think he's a much better fit for Unai Emery. Do you know anything about him at all, Kevin? Or
I know he's highly rated. I don't. I know a little bit about Diaby just from what I've seen online. He seems like he's linked in pretty well with obviously my mate Leon Bailey. So I was just thinking with Doku. Obviously we played Rennes, didn't we, last year? Did he play? Did he play in the game?
I don't think he did. I think he was injured, because I do know now in the last 2 seasons he has missed 41 games. That is a bit worrying.
21-year-old missed 41 games. I don't know enough about the European market. And listen, you don't know whether you're going to get an absolute world beater. Who would have thought that Kaoru Mitoma, I don't know even where Brighton signed him from, was going to be as amazing as he's been in the Premier League. And yet Leon Bailey, look at some of the skills, but it wouldn't be the first time a player's come from Europe and hasn't worked out. But for every Leon Bailey or Mateo Kezman, you get a Suarez signing for Liverpool from Ajax, or Torres. There are obviously some fantastic players. And look, I don't know. I just have to trust now. All I know under the Emery era has been Moreno, find John Duran, one for the future. If we're now getting in Tielemans, and obviously we're getting in Mr. Torres, then yeah. I mean, what can you say? Folks, Martin's disappeared, so I'll rock on for the moment on my own. He's back. Martin?
I don't know what happened there.
Martin, I was just about to start digging into you again as well. Yeah, I might get more comments on the YouTube page about me being mean to you, so I went to that.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I think my computer has gone to the dark side because of down Doku. I think the Force is starting to tell us something, but no, I just what did you say?
Well, I'll just go through some comments related to this. So Gary said he's had a bad injury, hasn't he? Gary also said earlier he thinks a lot of transfers will be happening in the next 2 weeks because obviously they want him in for the US tour.
Yes.
Star Wars. Steve wants 4 wingers. We have one. Yeah, I think we need at least probably 2 or 3. We've got one. Yeah, and we've got one striker pretty much. Would Doku be cheaper as well as and low wages? Almost certainly on both those counts. I think he would be.
Yeah, I think so because of America.
Brock says Doku is a second choice, but will still be well contribution. Duncan thinks we'll get 2 or 3 wingers in. Yeah. Gary wants Jonathan David. Yeah, I mean, looks like a really good player. Didn't look too good at the World Cup, but outside of that, again, you have Canada, you're going to struggle. Diaby needs to happen. I think it's looking really positive. Adamski said, don't worry about that. Duncan thinks Diaby will sign. All the rumours are that he wants us, and we've agreed personal terms, so it just has to get over the line.
Yeah.
Rail says about Doku, watched a lot of Ligue 1 last season, and Doku is one of, if not the best in his position, outside the top 2 or 3 teams. Very injury prone, though. We don't need that, but, there you go. Mr. Sensible wants Jonathan David all day long. And Gary says Diaby could help Bailey as they know each other. Help him onto the taxi on the way back to the airport, hopefully. No, we'll see. I have to hope with Leon that, maybe he's gets a full injury-free pre-season and he plays better this season. But they did look like they linked together pretty well in the showreel of Diaby. So you never know. Dale's saying that Jonathan David will cost 45 million plus. Well, that's the kind of market we're fishing in now, isn't it? With the Torres and the Diaby links. Torres deal, Diaby links. Sharik, while of Brennan Johnson, we after two wingers? We have no one to play on the left, but constantly with right wing players. So what about Brennan Johnson, Martin?
There could be some players that can probably play both wings. I think Diaby can play both right wing and left wing. So if you can get one player who can play both, that scratches one off the list automatically. But I just want to go through some of the start comments here that I've saved up, which Sharik has said, how many signings do you think we will realistically complete by the end of the window, one of which will obviously be a backup keeper?
Okay. Well, we've got centre-half in Pau Torres.
Yeah.
We've got centre midfielder in Yuri Tillemans. So I think there'll be a backup goalie. We'll include that. I think there'll be a winger. I do think there'll be a striker. I'd be surprised if we went into the season with Duran and Archer as a backup to Watkins, because I think you've got two very improving players there to go on a mission for 4 trophies. And I do think probably a Dendonka might leave, a Sanson will probably leave, and I do think there'll be another midfielder that'll come in.
Yeah,
there should be a right back, but like we did when we did the keep loan sell episode, I can't see us buying 7 players. I can't see. In case anyone doesn't know what 7 is, there's 7, right? I'm holding it up as if no one knows what 7 is. But I can't see us buying 7 players. I mean, if we ship a few out, maybe you replace, but is he going to want to integrate that many into the squad?
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if it's just 3 more.
Yeah. And just before I go on to the next one now, there's currently 96 people watching, which, again, incredible. Sunday evening, clearly is all looking forward to us on the Sunday evening. But if, like I said, if you're new to this channel, please subscribe. If you want to be part of this Villa Park podcast family, just hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. And if you want to become a member, it's just £2 a month. The join button is right there, right below the screen. And you could be even more in the family. You might say you might be in the mafia, getting all the inside information from us. So again, if you want to become a Villa Park Pod member, it's only £2 a month. And if you want to be part of the family, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and help us grow to the channel. We're on the road to 2,000. And we're currently sitting on, well, from what we last counted, is 1982. Again, I wonder what happened that year. Can anybody tell me? I wasn't alive then, so I need to know. But again, please, folks, help us continue to grow. We absolutely love it.
We've only got 33 likes, though, so if people who are watching could hit the like button, that'd be great. Martin, you're getting a bit of grief here about why you didn't read out the Irish Villa fans' comments. So
I was coming on to that just as after I was finishing this one, and I started. He said, off topic, but how come there's so many Irish Villa fans? Is it because of Paul McGrath?
What do you reckon?
No, it's not because of Paul McGrath. It's just because I think I actually don't know. I actually don't know why there is. I just think a lot of Irish people just like Villa, just like the name. Or I don't think Paul McGrath was the main thing for it. Like if you looked at players that were there before Paul McGrath, Steve Staunton was there before Paul McGrath. You know. I just think
McGrath was there before Staunton, but around about that era.
I just maybe I think it's because so many Irish people moved over during the case of the war that they supported Villa. To be honest, I couldn't even answer that question. I don't think any Irish people could answer that question. I just think a lot of Irish people pick different teams. Like, you know, I know Liverpool and Man United are the 2 dominant teams that would be supported over here, but you get so many Leeds fans, you get so many Everton fans, you get so many Villa fans, even a lot of Newcastle fans as well out here. There's just loads of different teams because we're not from that particular part of the country. That we have the glory of choosing a Liverpool, a Man United, a Newcastle, a Aston Villa, Arsenal. We just may not have an attachment to the local area, but we look at the club. Actually, you know what? I like that club. I'll go for them. But over here, back at home, I'm from Tala. Now I support Shamrock Rovers as the League of Ireland club, but I know they're not from Tala. They're from Milltown, but had moved to Tala due to the fact that they didn't own their own stadium. But that's like over here, you know, when you kind of support your team in your local area or who your parents supported. So I just think it's because we don't have any particular attachments to Liverpool or Man United. that we can go and support different clubs. Maybe someone else could answer that question better than I could, but for me personally, I just like Aston Villa because my first ever game watching Villa was seeing us beat Birmingham City 5-1, and I kind of went with them, and I'm stuck ever since.
That was your first game. I feel like the oldest man in the world. I did see a stat that I think after Sunderland and Man United, Villa have had the most Irish players. So whether that stat is still up to date, how old that stat is, but that's something.
You had the most Irish players, sorry?
After Sunderland and Man United, Villa have had the most Irish players playing for them apparently over the time. So I don't know if that's true or not. Obviously, there's a lot of links to that early 90s period. So that was the era when I really came through supporting Villa. When we won the League Cup in '94, the Coca-Cola Cup, beat Man United, denying Man United the treble. The domestic treble. We had Andy Townsend playing for Ireland, Steve Staunton, Paul McGrath, Ray Houghton. So we had 4 players, that play for Ireland, and we've had a really good history across the 90s of having Irish players. But I remember when I went to Ireland in 1990, just after the Italian 90 World Cup.
I said you just after it. Lad, you should have been there. Well, again, I wasn't born, but a lot of people tell me like Italian 90 in Ireland was the crack. So it was.
Yeah, I mean, I was only 9, so it wouldn't have been too much Guinness and and anything like that for me. But all my Irish cousins I went to see over in Cork, they were all singing "Who put the ball in the English net, Sheedy?" I got that on repeat for like 2 weeks. But there were still a lot of Villa fans around, and that was pre-Villa being, having this Irish contingent. So, yeah, it's just nice, isn't it? Villa are a big club. We're supported well worldwide, not the level that we'd probably want to get to in terms of the commercial revenue. But, yeah, I always used to think somewhere like when you come to the country, obviously, that Manchester and Liverpool are 2 of kind of the first places. But as you kind of go inland, then Birmingham's kind of not that far, is it? Newcastle's kind of out the way, and London's further across. So there you go. We're glad to have you, Mark. We're glad to have you.
Absolutely. Just go through some of the comments. Just again, we're still on Ireland, so I'm loving this. Steve Van Leer says USA 94 helped to get Irish fans to Villa. Maybe so. Who knows?
Yeah.
Like Eden says, Star Soccer was on, and a lot of the Midlands Football Club was on TV. Dempsey says, I remember a lot of Irish kids at my school in 1980. Yeah, we do tend to emigrate to Australia a lot. That was in Princeton, Thorpe, and Woley Castle. If I pronounce Woley again wrong,
Wheelie. It's Wheelie Castle, Mark. I'll put you out your misery. It's Wheelie Castle. Wheelie. That's what you say. Wheelie Castle. Yeah.
Wheelie Low. Jesus, wow. Okay. Yeah. Michael Higgins going, Italian 90 was fantastic. Absolutely.
It was. I feel sorry for the kids now that never got to experience Italian 90.
And have you ever watched the movie Kevin the Van?
The what?
The Van. The
Van. I've not seen the movie The Van, no.
Oh, you need to watch it. It's based on the Italian 90. There was these 2 lads, they opened a chipper style, like a van. Yeah. And it was kind of been spaced around the Italian 90. And it was it's a really good movie. I recommend that you watch it as soon as this is finished, Kevin. It's an Irish movie and on the Italian 90 and what happened in the pubs and all. It's absolutely brilliant. And for anyone here, if you want to go watch The Van and watch it on the Italian 90, please do so. That's my huge recommendation. What a movie that was. I might even watch it myself when I'm finished here.
Yeah.
Bronco says, on the note of players we have signed, do you guys see Tielemans playing more of an attacking role under Emery? He's a good holding mid, but I remember him covering Madison and he was deadly. You could play more attacking because obviously I know Rich is a big advocate of not having Buendia. So you probably could see him in a more advanced role because of Luis and Kamara are more covering. So it could be the case. What do you think, Kevin? Do you think he'd be more advanced, or do you think he'd be an out-and-out 8?
I think he's got the potential to do both. Really, it definitely won't be defensive because I don't think he's that's his game. But I think he could be interchangeable with what Buendia does? I've not been absolutely wowed by Buendia. I feel like there's more in the tank, but I do wonder sometimes if he's just physically. Look, you can have a lot of small players that can do well in the Premier League. So one of the best ever has been, in the world football is Lionel Messi. Obviously, people like David Silva were pretty diminutive and have done pretty well. But I just wonder sometimes physically whether he's where he needs to be at this top level of the game. But then he's playing for Argentina. seems to dally on the ball too much. I mean, it's not a criticised Buendia podcast, certainly not. But do I see Tielemans been able to kind of cover that role? Then yeah, I do. So I do think he probably would be. I think he'd probably be a bit more offensive rather than defensive, definitely.
Yeah, and just to go through another one here, Chris Tyler, lads, do we think we'll sign 2 wingers or just 1? I think we'll probably get 2. I think we'll get 2.
I hope we get 2.
Yeah,
Johnson's looking good, isn't it?
Yeah, I think there will be 2 because I don't think we'll settle for 1 because if you want to have a bit of squad depth out wide, now I know Jacob Ramsey has played out wide a bit, but he is more of a centre midfielder. Dale Steve Staunton helped a lot. I played football with both his sons, Kyle and Patrick, from my Saturday side. He used to come and take training sessions every now and again. Absolutely love a Guinness. Yeah, every Irish person that you meet, don't be surprised by this. If some of us say we hate Guinness, it's an acquired taste. You either like it or you don't.
Have you seen this in the chat? They're doing their own polls now. I love it. I mean, it's taking on a mind. It's like AI.
I'm just about to get onto that. I'm just about to get onto it. Joe Grind started. Type 1 in the chat if you want to keep Bailey. Type 2 if you'd sell him. Kevin, you only know the number 2. I don't think you know any other number at this point.
My number one's broken on my keyboard.
You're just going 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. But funny enough, Kevin, you might not like our voters. Mr. Sensible's gone for 1. Steve's going 1, 1, 1, 1, 1.
He's only done that to cover me. He said it already.
I think a lot of them are trying to wind you up.
Yeah. Look, he said I was covering Kev off. Then it's fine. So there you go.
Yeah. Brock has said 1, 2. He's undecided.
Yeah.
Duncan said Zola.
I think Duncan's referring to diminutive players. Yeah.
I think Rob P has gone with 1. Adamski said 1. Duncan's gone with 1. Michael and Kevin aren't agreeing. Michael, I thought Kevin was always right.
Listen, we can't agree on everything. Me and Michael 99%.
Michael, what's going on there, lad? You normally always agree with Kevin. This is your boy here.
I think if we bring in Diaby and Johnson, then that will say a lot about what will happen with Bailey, I think. So
Gary Howlett says Bailey gets 1 more season, so 1. It looks like Kevin, it looks like you've lost again in trying to get rid of Bailey.
Look, luckily for me, I haven't got to make the decision. I look at Bailey and I just think if it's an away game, there's no point playing him. And I just think any player you've got in your team like that, in your squad like that, then you got a problem. If there's any player in a squad of a team that finished top 7 that are going for three cup competitions as well, and you've got a player that you worry about playing away from home, then that's a problem. And he seems to have lost a yard of pace. When I saw those Diaby show reels, I was thinking that guy playing alongside him, Bailey, I think his name, he looks like a right player. Maybe we should sign him. And then I realised we've got him. We just haven't ever seen that player. So is it his injuries? Is it the hamstring? You look what happened to... I don't know the extent of his hamstring injuries. It was only after Michael Owen's career basically was towards the end, and we've realised the extent of how his hamstring injuries had affected his raw pace. And I haven't really seen that from Leon. By all accounts, he's recovered, but haven't seen it.
And here's another poll. Apparently, our fans are even starting a poll now, which is good to see. Chris Tanya started this one. Digne, keep, sell, or replace. Now, I think by replace, definitely that means sell with replacing with somebody. Steve Van Leer's gone with 1 until Jan. That's obviously for Bailey, but Dale has said keep Digne 100%. Mr. Sensible keep Digne. Gary's gone back to the one. Bailey's his most defensive player. Probably
divisive player.
Yeah. Oh, divisive player. Sorry, my apologies. Rico63, who's an Everton fan, is joining the chat. So, well, look, thanks for coming in, Rico. Appreciate it. You always welcome different fans. Stia says cash plus swap for Johnson.
I don't think he means Matty Cash.
No, I did realise that. I was kind of getting confused, like cash and a swap. Adamski says keep Digne. Rich said happy with young science, so clearly he's talking about Richo. Mike said understand what Kevin said, Bailey, but if we can get him consistent, he could be special.
I just wonder, just on that point, Mike, I just wonder, when you talk about someone just in life and you think, if only they stopped this element of their personality or they stopped doing this, then they'd be brilliant. And then all of a sudden you realise that they're 73 and that's just their personality. And I just wonder with Bailey, is this just the player he is? Is he just wildly inconsistent and he can do a moment of something but then be quite unreliable? And it's easy sometimes to counter-argue that with, but wingers are streaky. but there are plenty of wingers that are a lot less streaky than he is for a team we are. There have been moments. I mean, I've got to be honest, when I look back through some of the results last season, he scored some key goals, often early in games, but he didn't do a fat lot else. I think his touch is, it's either he's got the best touch in the world or he's got the touch of a one-legged man. And
that's harsh.
The amount of times the ball would bounce off him and go out of play is maddening and frustrating. The player that I saw in that little cameo when he first played against Everton, when he sped away and smashed it in, when he whipped the corner in, which are up for debate, left back Digne headed in, Agent Digne, in that Everton win. That player that I saw on the show reel for Leverkusen is not the player that we've seen now for last season. And he did get a lot of game time. So I'm happy to give him a chance. Not that it's my decision, but I think the jury's out. And there has been a lot of stuff coming out that apparently is up for sale. So I can't who knows what's going to happen? But look, there's definitely some kind of talent in there. You've seen that from what he's done in the past. But I wonder whether he's kind of, whether this is just now what he's going to be and whether we need to cut our losses.
Yeah. Well, just to get on to from Dale's question asking Richo, is he happy with Young signing? He has said no. Is that the best we can get in? We're doomed.
Which signings that he's on about?
About Ashley Young. When Dale asked Richo, was he happy with the Young sign? He said no. Is that the best we can get in? We're doomed. I think Ashley Young going to Everton is a great bit of business. Maybe not for playing wise, but morale wise to boost the confidence of the lads because of the experience that he's got. He's shown it at Villa, his experience and the voice. Sometimes you need that in the dressing room. Like, look at Liverpool. They had it with Milner. He wasn't playing a lot, but he was a voice to, just for that experience for the lads. Brighton had Adam Lallana, and now they're having James Milner themselves. Every team needs like a 35, 36, 37-year-old just to be a voice for the lads playing and to boost their confidence, to boost the morale and saying that there's plenty of times in games. And I think it's a great sign for everyone to go get Ashley Young to boost in. Like, I don't think Ashley Young's probably going to be starting week in, week out with everything. Like, he'll always put in a shift because he's super fit. But I just think he's that voice for the boys, to help them get over the line in certain games.
I think a team that are going to finish bottom half of the Premier League, which Everton will, let's be clear, as soon happens. I think he will be a good voice for anyone. He would have been for a lot of Villa fans, me included. I would have loved, not just for nostalgic and like sentimental reasons, I would have loved to keep him around for another season. I think he could have been someone that maybe could have played, 10, 15 games, maybe 20 games and done well. You think with him moving on, there must be a right-back plan, but we'll see what happens. But I think he'll be an asset for Everton. The thing is with Everton, I mean, they were linked with obviously Johnny Evans the other day. There was like a leak on a Everton video they put out. Whether that happens or not, who's now a free agent. If they're bringing in Ashley Young as well, Dyche is a good manager, but I think they're going to have to go. They're going to have to go some if they're bringing in players that are like mid to late 30s. They're going to have to go some next season. Otherwise, I think it could be a season of struggle for Everton. But listen, it's not an Everton podcast, so let's not get too deep into Everton's fortunes.
No, but there is a lot of. But funny enough, in this group chat, there is a lot of talk about Brendan Johnson.
Yeah,
a lot of fans saying they don't want him because of the inflated prices, because he's British, which Dale has said here. Definitely a no for him, inflated price due to him being British. Brock says Johnson is young, hit the ground running. Yes, he's inflated, but he can play anywhere across the front line. Is a homegrown, has raw place and talent, and Emery can mold. Don't sleep on Johnson. So he's on the side of wanting him in. But I think there's a lot of talk here about not wanting Johnson. Now, I personally wouldn't mind seeing him come in because you have to remember the team he was playing with. He's playing with Forest, a team that everyone was expecting them to be in a relegation battle. But out of all them teams in the relegation battle, in my opinion, they were playing the best football. And he is a defensive player just because of the team he's with, and he's managed to get himself 14 goal contributions with 8 goals and 6 assists. Now, I think if you're first year in the Premier League, in a relegation team, to get yourself 14 goals contribution, I think that's incredible for a player, Brendan Johnson. And I think I would welcome him to Villa if he wants to make the next step in his career.
From what I've seen of Johnson, there's definitely been some really, really good stuff. I don't think he would have been near the top of my list. I think when I saw some of the links to the likes of a Williams or a Ferran Torres, then, you know, or even a Harvey Barnes, I think he's probably, I would prefer. Duncan said he's looked into Johnson's stats more. He's actually very underrated, very high potential player. So again, for me, it's an Unai I trust. I could become a bit of a bit part player in this podcast moving forward, because I think I could just keep saying in whatever Unai wants to do, which is, you know, not going to be that interesting. But if you think Johnson's the guy for the job, he's young. Clearly, he's highly rated. He's had, obviously, as you say, 14 goal contributions, which is great in a struggling team. The price is going to be a lot, though, isn't it? It's going to be a lot of money. So, you end up spending that money on him and then on Diaby. Then I don't know what we've got left. There's a lot of talk from Newcastle fans I've seen on Twitter. They're saying, "How can Villa start be linked with all these players?" And what's going on with FFP? But our net spend's been not really that much, is it? Really?
No, our net spend currently at the minute is only like 31 million, but I think at the whole thing, I think I'm seeing that our net spend is at like 50 million across 4 seasons, and Newcastle's at like 200. So, like, if they're giving out about, how come they're getting so much and so much, and with their FFP, we get, look at Newcastle, look what they're spending. Now, admittedly, they haven't spent the money silly. They have bought themselves quality and everything else and improved their team, but, don't be coming to Villa fans saying, "Oh, what about their FFP rules?" when the same thing's going to be applying to use in a few years.
Yeah. I'll just fire through some more of these last comments about this, and then we'll obviously move on. So Rob says, underestimating the impact of Young in the locker room. Everton, you guys need to sort out the locker room. He's there for that. Dale says, Dyche has been after him for years. They did play together at Watford actually years ago. He says, you just think that Everton are banging trouble. I agree. Michael says, Young knows how to see a game out, which Everton are missing. Everton need a strong striker. I said that's to talk about Everton, and all I've done is put up Everton comments. Steve says he'll do well there, and he's probably the fastest. Talking about Johnson, referring to Duncan, 100% his stats are also weaker than they should be, because Forest had the lowest possession of any Premier League team. That's a very, very interesting point. Yeah. So that's really, really, really interesting. But Brock says don't trust the stats. Rico says missed out on the commentary striker and Dan Juma rejected for the second time. So that's Everton again. Welcome to the Everton pod. Welcome to the Goodison Park podcast.
Goodison Park. We changed it from Villa Park to Goodison Park. Now they changed the whole background there and start getting the colour blue and all. Kevin, you've got the blue background, that window, the wall there behind you.
Dale says, who does everyone think the bottom 3 come the end of the season? Luton, Everton, and Sheffield United for me. I think you're probably right. I think that's a good shout. That's a good show. I think teams like Bournemouth and Fulham, depending on how the season starts and if their managers leave.
I think Luton will stay up.
Luton stay up.
I think it will be Everton, Sheffield United, and Wolves to go down.
Wolves are in trouble. Chelsea as well, obviously, after last season, could be in trouble as well. So
I think Chelsea will be all right with Pochettino.
Slightly tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, just a slight dig there. But no, I think it will be Everton, Sheffield United, and Wolves will go down. I think Luton will stay up. Only just.
Yeah. Any more talking points, Mark?
No, I've got nothing. No more, unless you have anything yourself, Kevin.
No, there's a bit of talk about Coutinho. I saw in some of the comments saying why wasn't he there. Jeff said looking forward to seeing a fit Coutinho next season. It could surprise us if Unai can reboot him. I don't know what's happened. I would have thought the fact he wasn't away. Maybe he's still coming from injury. Maybe that's why he wasn't in there.
Yeah,
he looks in incredible shape pre-season. He looks like he's the fittest I've seen him in years. So who knows? Again, if we keep Coutinho, I think there's still a player there. What is he? 30, 31 years old. I wouldn't be surprised if he went to Saudi Arabia. But again, it's all about what Unai thinks. But yeah. So that's it, guys. I think that's it. If you're not already giving us a like to the video. We've had up to pushing 100 watching tonight. So give us a like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Yeah. Marty getting the music on there. Martin's got his jukebox out. So give us a subscribe. We'll be keeping all the content coming. We've obviously been really, really working the guys the last few weeks. People on holiday. But still keeping all the podcasts coming out to you. Any new signings, Mike will be on it, won't we? Talking about it. Keeping up to date with all the pre-season news as well. And any questions that you guys have got, bang them in obviously the chat, put them on the comments on the video, send them obviously through to our Twitter page, and we'll keep these fans forums going.
Yeah, so, and last thing is always remember, guys, we all follow the Villa. Thank you.
Cheers, guys.